So I saw a clip of Vivek Ramaswamy that I got to talk about because it literally cracked me up. I laughed out loud. He was talking about the afterlife and what are we going to do when we get to the other side and we have to answer to the founding fathers. And I'm paraphrasing, but he was basically saying, what are you going to say to the founding fathers? What did you do to save this great country? When they ask you, what did you do? What will you say? And I'm like, really? So I'm going to meet the founding fathers in the afterlife. Anyone that's watched my channel for any amount of time knows that I'm agnostic. I'm not really a believer, although I was raised up in church to believe. I walked away from it in my early 20s. I was always a doubting Thomas, if I'm telling you the truth. And when it comes to that, I've always explained it this way, and I know this may sound like a sarcastic analogy, but this is just how I look at it. Is Morgan Freeman sitting on my front porch right now? Probably not. I doubt very seriously Morgan Freeman's sitting on my front porch, but Morgan Freeman is alive and he's in this world and he might have made it to my house. I don't know. If he is, I will acknowledge it. I'll do a video with him from the front porch and I'll say, hey, Morgan Freeman made it. Morgan Freeman really is on my front porch. And I'll do the same thing if God Almighty ever confronts me. I'll be the first one to say, hey, I seen him. Here he is. Ladies and gentlemen, God Almighty. I'll be the first one to do that. But I'm just a doubter. I'm just being honest about it. I'm a doubter. And so, I don't think about the afterlife in that sense. But I'll play along with Vivek here just for a minute. I will play right along with his little game. What would I say to the founding fathers in the afterlife? I would say I tried like hell. I would say that I stood up to an insurrectionist. I would say that I stood up to a convicted felon. I would say that I stood up to a man found liable of sexual abuse. I would say that I did countless videos talking about the 14th Amendment and how he should be disqualified from ever holding an office again. I would talk about how that I really tried to talk about the well-regulated militia part of the Second Amendment. I really tried to drive that point home because I don't think you guys really ever meant for there to ever be that kind of carnage in our schools and on our streets. I really don't think you meant for it to get that far out of hand. And so, yeah, I would love to sit down and talk with the founding fathers. I would love to have a crystal ball or just pull out my iPhone like, hey, watch this. Watch what happened on our nation's capital. Take a look at this, Ben Franklin. Take a look at this, George Washington. What would you have done? Is this what you meant? Is this what you meant? Did you mean they could raise up against the tyrannical government? All these talking points. I would love to carry on a conversation with the founding fathers in the afterlife, although they probably wouldn't be my first choice. I would definitely like to reconnect with my grandmother and my grandpa and talk to them first, and I would love to talk to Dwayne Allman and figure out how he got that good on a slide guitar. But eventually I would get around to talking to the founding fathers, and I would make sure to have a copy of the Constitution laying there, and I would really question them and ask them, hey, who had it right? Who was right about this? What did you guys really mean by all these things? I tried my damnedest to stand for the Constitution. I kept a copy on my desk every day, and I quoted it to people over and over and over again. That's what that I would say to them if I could meet them. But it's ridiculous the talking points that these people will make. And Vivek is not far off from these crazy televangelists out there. Kenneth Copeland, who has been a televangelist for years, I think that guy studied under like Oral Roberts, so he's an experienced grifter, and he's caught wind of Maga and he's jumped on that train. And now he says that he's going to live to be 120 years old. He will die in 2056, he said. He said God told him that, and he will live till 2056. He'll be 120 years old. Honestly, that might be the one thing I might believe that he said, because a demon like that probably won't ever die. Innocent people, good-hearted people you love and respect, they'll probably all go first. But someone like Kenneth Copeland will still be sitting over with them big bug eyes, hey, give me my honey. It's like a guy like that probably will live. I don't know where that came from, by the way. But a guy like that will totally live to be 120. But these people will just absolutely say anything, just anything over the top, and they've got an audience sitting there to react to it and to buy into it and to believe it. And if I was sitting there and I heard a Democratic politician say, what would you say to the founding fathers? I would say what I just said. I would say, hey, did I interpret these things correctly? Is this what you guys meant? Because I don't think it is. I think that Maga absolutely bastardized it and weaponized it, if they want to use that word, against everybody. And I think that the crackpot stuff that they believed in and the crackpot conspiracy that they pushed around should have been debunked and lifed out of every room in this country. I don't think you should platform people like that and give them a voice and validate what they're saying. If anything, it should just be to debunk it and move on. And there has been plenty of times in my lifetime that I bought into stuff for a minute until someone laid the evidence in front of me and said, Brando, this here is a capo. This is a guitar capo. Really? Well, I thought it was a paper clip. Well, you can use it for a paper clip if you want to. It will, you can keep your Constitution closed with it if you want to, but it was intended to go on the neck of a guitar. If that evidence was presented to me, I would go, you know what? I've been using this entire time to keep my Constitution closed, but you know what? This really was a capo designed to be used on a guitar. I wouldn't sit there and go, well, no, that's not how it is. We're dealing with crazy people. And when we say that, we're being divisive, man. Don't call them crazy. Don't make fun of them. Don't mock their voices. Don't make fun of them. Don't call them for what they are. What else are we supposed to call it? We're supposed to sit back and just stay quiet while they say this stuff? We're supposed to scroll past the video like that. He set himself up for that. I would love for him to ask me that question to my face. What are you going to say to the founding fathers in the afterlife? What are you going to say to Jesus Christ? How about that? How about we flip the table on you? What are you going to say to Jesus Christ when he says to you, well, did you feed the hungry? Did you clothe the naked? Did you give the thirsty something to drink? Did you visit those that were in prison? Did you welcome the strangers? Did you take them in? I mean, what are you going to say to Jesus in the afterlife, Donald Trump, when you said, I saw no reason why I should ever ask for forgiveness? I don't bring God into that part of my life. It's so funny to me because when I was growing up in church, you were taught to bring God into that part of your life. You were reminded every Sunday at the end of the service, altar call, everybody. Remember, bring God into this part of your life. Make sure you ask God to forgive you today. You may never have a chance. You may get in a wreck before you get home. You may die at the four-way stop there at Binghamtown. You better hurry up and give your soul to God right now. That's what they used to tell me. Went through that four-way stop I don't know how many times. I almost had a fender bender once. But it had nothing to do with what they were telling me. It's just so over-the-top ridiculous. These people are so over-the-top ridiculous. To sit back and hear the things they say, and it's like a flex in their mind. Like, ooh, look at me, I flexed at you. And you're like, no, you just made a complete fool of yourself. You asked yourself a question you asked me a question that completely set you up for failure. And you made a ridiculous claim that you're going to live to be a 120-year-old. And again, that might be the only thing I'll ever believe from Kenneth Copeland. Jerks like that never die, folks. They just don't. I've known so many good people in my life. One of the greatest humans I ever met, died at 44-year-old, sudden heart attack in his sleep, didn't even know he was sick. It's like, how'd that happen? Somebody like Kenneth Copeland, yeah. In 2056, let's see. Well, I don't even think I'll still be here. I might be. I guess I could be. I'd be like 86 or 76. Yeah, I guess I could still be here. But if I'm still here at that age and Kenneth Copeland's still preaching on the TV, folks, I'm checking out. I'm just going to go and tell you, I will just throw in the towel on that one. I'm not going to hang around this universe that long with Kenneth Copeland. But yeah, folks, I just woke up in a weird state. I was like, man, what a thing to read. Like, what a thing to see. And I started talking about it, and sometimes I just kind of go off the rails. That's definitely what happened on this video. But this is how I kind of talk to my family every day. So you kind of got to see a behind the scenes take for once of me just being a little bit ridiculous, but that's because they're so ridiculous.